Hi, I'm Eric Schumacher Rasmussen, the editor and VP of StreamingMedia.com, and welcome to the first installment of a new series we have called C-Level Interviews. And our first interview subject is Diane Strutner, who's the CEO of DataZoom. Hey, Diane, how are you?
I'm doing well, Eric. How you doing?
Great. Looking forward to
Great.
finding out a little bit more about DataZoom. And there's a companion article in the July-August issue of Streaming Media Magazine that goes along with it if you want to take a look at that. But Diane, let's start with the name of the company. Data's right there in the name. Data's obviously a huge issue right now and one of the biggest buzzwords in our industry and a lot of industries. How does DataZoom approach the data and analytics challenge in video?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think that, when I started off to build DataZoom, the first thing that I wanted to do was make sure that there was a distinction between um, how we capture and see the functionality of capturing data and its use in analytics. And we built part of that proposition into the name. So we're all about capturing data very quickly with a very low latency. And I think that, and what I've seen from the space is that we've been focused a lot on analytics as a use for data, but I think there's a whole world out there that our industry has yet to really tap into of real-time automation that we're just starting to see come to light.
And I would imagine that for that real-time automation to be effective, that speed piece, that low latency piece is absolutely crucial, right?
Totally, as they say, what you put into something, you sometimes get out, sometimes with more flavorful words, right? As
Right?
the expression goes. But and this is the same idea. If we're creating automated processes, and we are trying to get the best results from them. In our world, video streaming operates on a real-time basis. It's a number 20 to 30 different systems that have to come together continually to create a viewing experience that reaches the broadcast quality standard that we've set for ourselves. And today, the data that we have is not in this time frame. We're capturing data, and by the time we're able to access it or see it inside of other tools, it's already minutes old. And for the use case of applying this data to actually take action in real time for things that are affecting the viewing experience as they're happening, there's a very small window of time to do that in, and that's in real time. So we are, as you mentioned, built into our platform is a pillar of low latency, and that's something that we'll continue to optimize for as the years go on.
You mentioned real-time automation and particular processes and actions that can be achieved if data is delivered in close to real time. What sort of processes and actions are you looking at, and where do you see the biggest need for that?
Yeah, there's kind of two environments that we can focus on with automation. And one is content distributor controlled, and that's at um, the video player level on the client side. And today we integrate a bunch of third-party services and often hard code a single service with fixed rules into that video player environment. And there's definitely room for being able to add flexibility and failover and really dynamicism to these types of rules that we're seeing on the client side today. The other environment is on the handoff chain that's required to get video delivered to the end user. It's the combination from sending data down from the origin to this, to the CDN's edge, passing it off to transit providers down to an ISP. This entire handoff chain today operates with relative blindness to how the final result, what the final result is at the user's device. So the other type of automation is automation by other parts and partners of the video delivery process to make sure that when they're pushing content down the next step in the pathway, they're going down pathways that are not congested, not broken, and we're able to track the end result and therefore provide a feedback loop of data coming from the client side. So two areas where I see a lot of automation that will be coming in the next months to years.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how can a company that's interested in working with DataZoom go about working with you and leveraging what you have to offer?
That's a great question. So, it's actually quite easy to get started to working with DataZoom and using our software. We've actually built that ease of use into our platform. We today are capturing data where we believe it's very valuable, which is from the client side, where the end user actually experiences content. And to be able to pull data from that endpoint is actually as simple as a copy paste maneuver. So we've actually built a number of different one line of code scripts that get dropped in, and it's a one time, one line of code integration. And then we allow you to control the data and frequency of capture of information that comes from the client side all through our user interface. So you'll go through and select things like the metadata you want to collect, the events, and what we've termed flux data, which is any data points that fluctuate during the course of playback, and control and update and change, remove all of these things from our server side and through the user interface, as well as connect any places where you want to send this data to, like popular analytics tools that you're using, data warehouses, and even custom environments as well.
So it sounds like it's, relatively speaking, relatively easy to start implementing what DataZoom has to offer, right?
You could get started in a number of minutes.
Okay, great, great. Before we wrap up, I always like when I'm talking to CEOs, people who are the leaders in our industry, I always like to ask sort of what they see coming down the road. You know, IBC is a little bit more than a month away. That's one of the biggest events in our industry. What sort of trends and issues are you focusing on as you approach an event like IBC, and what do you think that our listeners should be focusing on as well?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of demand from the market for kind of greater flexibility and refinement and control ultimately. And I think that, especially over the past, couple decades, we've definitely seen this shift where we started off as creating, point solutions. They didn't integrate so well. So we created these, massive platforms that were all end to end. And we've, come over that and now are seeing companies go best of breed again
Mm-hmm.
for being very specific in functionality. And I think as we continue to develop best of breed solutions, we still can't forget about that integration and collaboration layer. So I think a lot of companies are spending more time focusing on partnerships and how to integrate and really how to remove some of the breakages and slippages that we see between platforms today. And that's definitely where we're spending our time with DataZoom.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Diane. Great to hear from you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And if you're looking to learn more about DataZoom, you can go to datazoom.io. And again, check that article out in the July August issue of Streaming Media Magazine. Thank you so much.